Hi guys, I hope everybody is doing good and I hope that you have gone through the video around the concepts of simple interest and compound interest which I have covered earlier. Today what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go and solve some examples for you. My intent is to start with very basic problems and then go into deep into tougher problems, a little bit of a tougher problem. So there will be a lot of variety which will be covered in this particular topic, so that it will enable you to start solving these problems at ease. Okay, so let's look at this particular example. So what I've done is that in this particular case, if you look at it, I'm saying that the calculate the simple interest on the following. So I have taken 4 different scenarios if you look at it. So we'll go scenario by scenario to understand that how do we use our formulas to basically calculate the simple interest for these particular problems. So let's get started. Okay. So we know how do we calculate the simple interest on a particular data which is given to you in the particular problem. In this particular case, it's a very straightforward problem. If you look at it, they have given the principal, they have given the rate. Rate is always per annum. Per annum, as I told you yesterday, it's yearly. It's calculated yearly or for 12 months. Remember that one. And the time is also given in years, basically 3 years. So it's a very straight problem. This is the first problem which you are going to get in this particular topic. Nothing basic can happen beyond this. Okay. So now how do I calculate the simple interest? We know that simple interest is nothing but principal into time into rate divided by 100, right? So you plug the values over here. So SI is equal to your principal is 8,000, your time is 3 years, and your rate is 12%. Since it is 12%, I'm dividing by 100 because percentage is always out of 100. If you want to convert that percentage into a number, you need to always divide it by 100. That's the formula which we have. Now what do? I cancel these 2 zeros. What am I left with over here? If you look at it, it is 36. 3 into 12 is 36. 36 into 8. 8 6 are 48. 4 8 sorry. 8 3s are 24, 25, 26, 27. So 2780 is your interest on that particular amount. So if you deposit 8,000 rupees in a bank at the rate of 12% interest annually, which the bank is going to pay to you, in the next 3 years, you are going to generate this much of in a simple interest. So since they have asked you to calculate the simple interest, this should be your answer. Right? Suppose they ask you to calculate the amount. What is the amount which you are going to get after 3 years? It's going to be principal plus simple interest. Basically, it's 8,000 plus 2780, which is equal to 10,780. That's the amount. Got it? Okay. Fair enough. Now let's move to the second one. Let's move to the second one over here. So in the second one, look at the data which is given to you. Again, what did I tell you? That principal is fine. They have given the amount over here. We are good with that. Rate is given 6% per annum, which is also good because it's per annum. We don't have to do anything about that. Now they have given the time in months. They did not give it in years. So what do we need to do is that whenever you have these kind of scenarios, you need to always divide it by 12 to convert this one into years. Okay, fair? Simple. You need to just divide it by 12 so that you get the number of years. When you divide it by 12, you'll get number of years. So now again, it's the same story. SI is equal to P into T into R divided by 100. So you have the values over here, put it 5,000 into time is 15 by 12 into your rate is 6 by 100. Okay, so I cancel these 2 zeros. I cancel 6 ones are 6, 6 twos are, and 2 25s are. So you're left with how much? 15 into 25. 15 into 5 is 75. 7, 15 twos are 30, 375. That's your interest at the end of this much time, which is like 15 by 12 years. Okay, at the rate of 6% per annum. Now, if they ask you to calculate the amount, you're going to simply put principal plus SI, which is equal to your principal is 5,000 plus 375. So the amount which you're going to get after that tenure, this tenure, is 5,375. Okay, understood? That's the second variation. Okay, now let's go to the third one. What does it say in the third one over here? They have given the principal, the amount, the sum of money is given over here. Now look at it. There is another variation to this to the same problem. So basic one. What is the rate over here? Rate, they say it's 4% half yearly. 4% half yearly. But what did we learn whenever we want to use this particular formula, right? This should be always per annum. It should be always per annum. So what do you need to do? You need to convert that rate into per annum. How are you going to do it? If the rate is 4% half yearly, the per annum rate should be equal to 2, because in a year you have 2 half years. So you need to multiply that percentage by 2, and then you get the per annum rate over there. So now time is given in years. You're sorted. Now you need to go back and put the same formula, PTR by 100. Put it over here. Your principal is 6,000. Your rate is 4 into 2, 8. 8 by 100 into your time is 2 years. Got it? Cancel this. So what are you left with over here? 8 6 is 48. 48 into 2 is 96. You get 960. That's the interest which you get based on these numbers, whatever they have provided. And what will be the amount? Amount is nothing but P plus SI, right? Which is equal to 6,000 plus 960, which is equal to 6960 is the amount you're going to get after 2 years at a rate of 4% half yearly. Okay, since you have multiplied it by 2, we are all good. This should be the answer. Okay, now the last variant for the same kind of a problem, look at it. What did they mention over here? They have given the principal to be 6,000 over here, and the rate is 4% quarterly. They are calculating the interest on a quarterly basis. So in a year, how many quarters do we have? We have 4 quarters. So what do you need to do? You need to multiply with that 4 to convert into per annum. When you multiply it with 4, it will become per annum. Okay. And the second variation, what they have given in months also. The time is given in months. When it is given in months, how do you convert into a year? It is 10 by 12 year. That's it. I'm going to write it as a year because it's less than 1. The numerator is lesser than the denominator, so it will be less than 1. That's why year, not years. Okay, so we have everything over here. Go back, put it into the formula, PTR by 100. So you have 6,000. What is your time? Time is 10 by 12. Into your rate is 4 into 4, 16% divided by 100. So this goes 4 4s are 4 3s are, and this becomes 20. So what are you left with? 20 into 4 is 80. 80 into 10 is 800. So your interest with these numbers at the rate of 4% quarterly and for 10 months is 800. So your principal, your amount at the end of the entire tenure which you are going to give it to the consumer is this one. This is 6,000. 6,000 plus 800, which is equal to 6,800. I hope it's clear, right? This is the simplest way you need to do. This is the simplest problem you might get in your exams. So the thing what you need to do is that you need to always convert and bring it to this particular scenario. Your rate has to be always 12% per annum. Anything which they change it, like if they make it half yearly, multiply it with 2, because in a year you have 2 half years. Here it was quarterly, so what I did is that I multiplied with 4, because there are 4 quarters in a year, right? So that's how you need to do it. And similarly, when the time is given in months, you're going to change it to this one. It's given in months, I'm going to change it in. Now, the time may be given in days also, right? There might be a period, the time, they might be given days. So if the days are given over here, the denominator, it should be divided by 365 until unless it is specified that it's a leap year. If it is a leap year, you're going to use 366. I hope you understand that. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, now if you look at it, this is another variant where they have given you the simple interest of the problem, right? They have given you the simple interest amount. They have given you the rate. Rate is again in per annum. We don't have to do anything, any conversion. Time is 5 years. Now they're asking you to find the sum. What is the sum? Sum is P, principal, right? So I'm going to use the same formula again. What do we have? SI is equal to P into T into R by 100, right? I'm going to plug the values. I'm going to plug all the values, right? What is the SI they have given it? They have given us it as 416.25 is equal to, I'm going to leave it as P because I need to calculate P. I need to calculate the sum. So I'll leave it as P. What is the time they have given it? 5 years. And what is the rate they have given? 9%, 9 by 100. So now if you look at it, right, this is in a form of an algebraic equation where you need to find the value of P, right? So what are we going to do? We are going to do cross multiplication over here, right? I'll bring 100 over here and this 5 and 9 to the denominator. So I can write it like this. P is equal to 4016.25 into 100 divided by 5 into 9. Look at it, right? So what happens? This into this will give you a number. This decimal goes off. This decimal goes off and 100 gets cancelled out. This is the number you have. Now let's do the division. So I can basically calculate, I can reduce this one to 40265 divided by 5 into 9, right? So whenever you have these kind of numbers over here, right, we know very well that 5 will divide this number very easily because it is ending with 5. So let's do that one first. So I'm going to do 5 8s are 40 and then 5 0. I'll put a 0, then 5 3s are 15. Then I'll carry 1, 5 2s are 10 and 25, 5 5s are 25. So what am I getting over here? I get this one, 8 0 3 2 5 divided by 9. Now how do I get to know that whether this number is divisible by 9? I'm going to use the divisibility rule. So what is the divisibility rule for 9? You need to add all the digits and see if that number is divisible by 9, then it should be divisible by 9. So 8 plus 3 is 11, 11 plus 2 is 13, 13 plus 5 is 18. 18 is divisible 9, so this number will be directly divisible by 9. So it will be 9 8s are 72, 8 is carried, 9 9s are 81, 2 is carried, 9 2s are 18 and 9 5s are 45. So what is your principal coming out to be? Your principal is 8925. That's the answer, right? Got it? This is one more variation of a problem. Third variation, okay? So when you get these kind of word problems, when there is a lot of text in the problem, right? Read the problem part by part. Don't try to read the entire problem so that you get confused, okay? So what did I explain you earlier? You need to reduce the noise in the question first. The moment you reduce the noise in the question, you'll be able to easily solve it. Remember always this one. Now let's read the question. A sum of 25,000 will become 31,000 in 48 months. Okay, what do you gather from this particular information? When they say a sum of 25,000, what is this 25,000? 25,000 should be definitely the principal, right? And look at this number. This number is greater than this, right? If this number is greater than this means it cannot be simple interest. It has to be amount which is getting paid to the person who is depositing that money. So you're going to put that amount as 31,000. So understanding the numbers and putting it in perspective will help to solve the problem, right? So now from here, from this particular information, what can I get? Can I calculate the simple interest over here? Simple interest is what? Amount minus P. So you have the amount as 31,000 minus your principal is 25,000, right? What do you get? 6,000. That's your simple interest. I can put it over here that simple interest on that particular principal will be 6,000. Done, right? Now go back to the question. They gave the time as 48 months. Let's put the time. Time is equal to 48 months. Since they have given it in months, I'm going to divide it by 12 and convert into years. Make sense? Right? Now they are asking us to find the rate. At what rate per annum? They have clearly mentioned that find the rate per annum. Now get back to the problem. You have all the data what you need. Put it in the formula and get the answer. Rate. Right? Now what is SI? SI is nothing but P into T into R divided by 100. So your SI is 6,000, put it here 6,000 is equal to your P is 25,000, put 25,000. Your time is 48 by 12 which is 4 years, and your rate, you need to calculate the rate, so leave it as R over there. Right? Now it's again an algebraic equation in one variable. R, you need to calculate R. So what can I do? I can basically take this 100 over here. So I'll write it as 6,000 into 100 is equal to 25,000 into 4 into R. Right? I'll do a reverse. I'll put the R on the left side because we are calculating for R. I'll put this one first, 6,000 into 100 divided by this quantity because that's going to divide over here. So 25,000 into 4, right? So if you look at it, these three zeros cancel out and you are left with, if you look at it, this is 25 fours up and 4 gets cancelled out. So what does your rate come out to be? Rate is equal to 6%. Make sense? Easy? Okay. Okay, there is another variation, another problem with a lot of data, with a lot of text written over here. So what we need to do, as I told you earlier, right? Read the problem in parts, read it in parts so that you can summarize the data before you go ahead and solve the problem. Don't get into the solution directly, otherwise you'll get confused. Okay, so let's get started. I hope all of you are liking my videos, liking my content. I would request you to share it with your friends so that more and more people can learn things in a much more simpler fashion. Okay, with that, let's get started. So if you read the problem, a sum of 1750 is divided into two parts. So first and foremost thing what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make two columns, right? So 1750, a sum of 1750 means that's the principal. That's the principal, right? This is the principal. Now what they have done is that they are saying that this is divided into two parts. It's not equal parts, it's two parts. So can I say that let the first part be x? Okay, I'll take the first part as x. What will be the second part of the sum? It will be 1750 minus x, right? So when you add these two, right, you should get the total amount of sum, which is 1750. Sorted. Now go to the second part after the comma, such that the interests on the first part at 8% simple interest per annum. So what they are saying is that the rate is 8% per annum on the first part, and on the other part at 6%. At 6%. So the rate on the second part is 6% per annum, right? The interests on the first part at 8% and on the other part at 6% SI per annum are equal. So what are they saying? If I put this one as P1 R1, P2 R2, then what will be your simple interest? Simple interest here, suppose I'll put it as S1, right? So S1 will be what? S1 will be equal to PTR by 100, right? It will be PTR by 100, okay? And your SI2 will be what? P2 into R2 into T2 by 100. That is what it's going to be, okay? So now they are asking us to calculate what is the interest rate accumulated on each part. They ask us to calculate the interest on each part. Now if you look at it, right, what is missing in this particular thing? Do you have everything to go ahead and calculate the simple interest of each parts? No. If you look at it, the time is missing. So when they have not given any time, right, when they have not mentioned the duration on the problem, I'm going to take the time to be same in both the cases. So what I'll do is that instead of T1, I'll just make it as T here, and instead of T2, I'll make it as T over here. Got sorted out, right? Now, one more condition what they have mentioned is that the first part at this rate and the second part at this rate, the interests are equal. The interests are equal. So what happens? Your SI will become same in both the cases. The interests are equal. So now what I'm going to do is, with that information, let me go ahead and start solving the problem. So in the first case, what will be my SI? My principal is X into T. I'll leave it as T because I don't have anything, right? T. They did not mention about T. And the rate is 8%. So this becomes 8 by 100. Okay, that is what I get over here. So if I simplify this, I'm going to get, I'll leave it like this, I'll not simplify. Now in the second case, what is the simple interest? What is the P over here? P is 1750 minus X. Always put it in bracket. Don't open the bracket unless you need it. What is the rate here? Rate is 6%. And what is the time? Time is equal to 100. Okay. Now what did they mention? The simple interest on both these parts are equal. Means these two quantities should be equal. Right? So in that particular case, what am I going to do? I'm going to equate the simple interests. Okay. So the part 1 simple interest, what did I get? This is my part 1 simple interest, and part 2 simple interest is this one. Right? I'm going to equate these two. So therefore, I'm going to put it X times T times 8 divided by 100 is equal to 1750 minus X. Always put it in bracket. Remember, never open the bracket unless it's needed. Otherwise, your sum will go wrong completely. Okay. So both are equal. They have mentioned it in the question that they are equal. Now what happens? Your 100 cancels out because they're on the denominator on both sides. Now this T cancels out. Look at it. Right? Time is not required. That's why I left it as T over there. It cancels out. Now what are you left with? You are left with simple. This comes out to be 8 into X is 8X is equal to, that will be 6 times 1750 minus X. That is what you get, right? So when you calculate this, I need to rub the problem so that I can use the space on the board. Give me a moment. Okay, so what did you get from here? If I take this particular equation over here, so I get 8x is equal to 6 times 1750. Let me multiply that. 6, 0, 6 5s are 30, 0, 3, 6 7s are 42, 45, 5, 4, 6 1s are 6, plus 4 is 10. 10,500 minus 6x, right? Which is equal to, what do you get? 8x plus 6x becomes 14x is equal to 10,500. So this implies x is equal to 10,500 divided by 14. So I think I'm pretty sure that this should be okay. 2 7s are 2 5s are 10, 2 2s are 4, 25, 0. I'm pretty sure that will be divisible by 7. So let me see, 7 sevens are 49, 49, 1 5. No, it doesn't go. So we may have to use the calculator to get that one. Give me a moment. I'll just quickly do it. So yes, it is divisible. So it comes out to be 750. So what was X we started with? X is the principal, 1, part 1. So now if you look at it, I'll use the same X over here and put it over here. The first part is 750 and the second part becomes what? The second part will be 1750 minus 750, which is 1000. So, and in the original problem, I basically have erased the original problem. What did they ask you to calculate? They asked you to calculate the individual interests, right? Individual interests. So what do you need to do? You need to plug in the value of 750 over here, right? And I'll take the time as 1 year for a single year. And in this case also, I'm going to take it as 1 year. I'm going to plug the value as 1000 over here, okay? Right, this gets cancelled, this gets cancelled, 5 2s are, 5 25s are, 2 4s are. So your interest in the first case, SI in the first case is 300 and in the second case it is 600. That is the individual interest rates for that particular case, okay? Make sense? Easy? Yeah. One more problem with a different variation altogether. Okay. So let's read the problem. While reading the problem, you need to ensure that the data is being collected to solve the problem. Remember that one. Okay. A person deposited some amount of money in the bank at simple interest. Okay, when a consumer goes to the bank, right, what do they deposit? Don't read the words properly so that you understand what to take as data in your problem. When they say a person deposited some amount of money in the bank, it's always principal. Don't get confused between the term amount and principal and sum and all those things. You need to read the problem properly. So in this particular case, okay, he says that the person has deposited some amount of money in the bank at simple interest, right? So what I'm going to do is that next, let me read the problem further. After 15 years, the amount becomes 7 times. What does increase? What do you get when the bank gives you money back after 15 years? What do they give you? They give you the amount. You deposit a principal in the bank and they give you the amount at the end of that tenure of 15 years. So, okay. So again, it has 2 parts clearly. If you look at it, let the principal amount which the person has deposited in the bank be X. You don't know the amount. They just mentioned that some amount. I don't know about that one. Now they're saying that after 15 years, the amount becomes 7 times. So your amount will be equal to 7 times of X. Make sense? That is the amount you are going to get back, right? And your time is 15 years in the first case, right? Time is 15 years in the first case, right? Now, did they mention any rate over here? Did they mention anything about rate? They did not mention anything about rate. So I'll leave the rate as is. Let it be R. Okay, this is the first part. This is the first part. Now go to the second part. What are they trying to say? What are they asking you to find out? In how many years the amount will become 10 times? The same amount will become 10 times and they're asking you to find the time. So your principal remains the same. Your principal is X. Your amount becomes 10 times of X. And your 10 times of X, they have not given the time here and they are asking you to use the same rate from this year. Whatever you get the rate over here calculated, you need to use the same rate and calculate the time over here. So in this particular case, what are we going to do? First, you need to find the rate. Whatever information you have over here, with that you should be able to find the rate. Okay, let's get started. So let me wrap this portion so that we can use the board nicely to solve this particular problem. I need space. Okay. With this information, what can you find out? You can find out the interest. What is the interest? Simple interest is always amount minus principal. So your amount is 7x and your principal is x. That means your simple interest is 6x. Leave it like that. Okay, in terms of x. Now, what is simple interest as per formula? We know that SI is equal to P into T into R by 100. So we have all the values, let's plug it. We have got that SI is equal to 6x from these two. We have calculated and we got. So I'm going to plug the values. SI is 6x is equal to your P is x into your time is 15, and we need to find the rate. We don't know the rate, we need to find the rate. Okay, look at it. On both sides in the numerator you have a x gets cancelled out. So you're left with only numbers and one variable, which is r. So you should be able to find out r over here. So 6, now this 100 will be cross multiplied over here, 6 into 100, right, is equal to, it will be 15 times r. Now if I want to write it in the reverse way, what it will be? It will be r is equal to 6 into 100 divided by 15, right? So 3 2s are 6, 3 5s are 15, 5 20s are. So your rate comes out to be, your rate is 40% per annum. You got the rate to be 40% per annum, right? So did we solve the first part? Now I need to use this information in the second part to calculate that how much time. They're asking is that in how many years my money, whatever initial sum I have, that will become 10 times. So let's go to the next part. Now go to the next part, right? Okay, so now your principal in the second part still remains x, because that is what you are deposited initially. They are saying that the amount has to grow 10 times of x, which is 10x, right? And you found out the rate from the previous half, right? You found out it is 40% per annum. That's the rate you found out, okay? And they're asking you to calculate the time. In how much time my principal, whatever I have deposited in the bank, will become 10 times. So with this particular information, what can I calculate? I can calculate the simple interest. Simple interest is A minus P, which is equal to 10 times x minus x, which is 9x, right? Now I have the information, SI is equal to 9x. Leave it like that. Now therefore we know SI is PTR by 100. The another formula, put the values over here. What is SI? You got it as 9x is equal to, what is P? You started with x, that's the amount which you have deposited in the bank. What's the time? You need to calculate the time. What's the rate? It's 40% divided by 100, right? So if you cancel out the 0, look at it, x is there on both sides on the numerator. You can cancel out x because you don't know the value of x, so leave it. I cancelled it out. So what are you left with? You are left with 9 is equal to 4t divided by 100. So can I do this? 4 by 25, 1. So you are left with 9 is equal to t by 25. So what is your time? Time will become t is equal to, t will be equal to 9 times 25, which is equal to 9 times 25 is 225 years, Did I do something wrong? Yes, I did something wrong over here. That's why it went to so much. I'm sorry about that. So let's go back. So can I write like this? 9 is equal to, it is 4t by 10. 4t by 10, right? So I can reduce this further. It becomes 2 by 5. And now your t becomes what? T is equal to 5 goes up, 2 comes down. So 9 times 5 divided by 2, which is equal, 9 5 is 45. So time will be equal to 22.5 years. So what did they ask us to find out? That the sum of money, the amount which I deposited in the bank initially, has to become 10 years at the same rate. We calculated the rate from the earlier scenario and used the same rate and found out that the money will become 10 times the amount which the bank is going to give to the consumer becomes 10 times in 22.5 years. Good? Okay. Another problem with a different variation over here. Okay, so let's read the sum. A sum of money was lent at simple interest at 11% per annum for 7 by 2 years and 9 by 2 years. Okay, 2 time periods they have given. The sum of money, a sum of money lent at 11% rate. So again, what you do is that normally what we do, we'll mark it, and they are asking you to find the sum at the end. So you don't know the sum. So let the sum be x. So let the p be x. I'll call it as p1. Here also it will be p1 because it's the same sum. They did not specify that the sums are different between these two periods. What is the rate? Rate is same. R1 is equal to 11% per annum. No changes required. Similarly, R2 will also be 11% per annum, nothing. Okay. So T1, time 1 is 7 by 2 years and time 2 is 9 by 2 years. Okay. And the only condition what they have mentioned is that if the interest difference for 2 periods was 5500, okay, the interest, suppose you have the interest I1 over here, right? We don't know what is the interest. I2 is equal to this much. Okay. Now look at it. They have mentioned that the difference between the interest of both the periods is 5500. That's the condition given it. Now you need to be a little bit intelligent enough to understand that in which case the interest will be higher. Just take a moment and think through that in which case the interest will be higher over here with this information. Okay, let me tell you, the interest will be higher in this particular case because if you look at it, the time period is higher here. The rate is the same, the amount is the same, but the time period is a little bit higher. As in when the time period increases, the interest amount will be more. So what will I write? The condition what we'll use at the end is I2 minus I1 will be equal to 5500. That's the condition I'm going to use at the end to find out the sum, because we need to find out the value of x, right? So in this particular case, what will be the interest? Let's calculate. What will be the interest over here? PTR by 100, which is nothing but x times your time is 7 by 2 into 11 by 100. That's your interest over here. I'm not going to change anything over here. Leave it like that. I get 7 into 11, 77, 77x divided by 200. Good. That's your interest one. You have got your interest one. Now let's move to the other side. What is your interest 2 over here? Interest 2 is again PTR by 100, right? Let's put the value. You have the P as x, you have your time as 9 by 2, and your rate is again 11 by 100, right? So I'm going to just write it as I2 is equal to 99x divided by 200. So we have everything what we need. Okay, let's rub this information so that I can use the space on the top. So now what do you have? The condition given is that the difference between the interest is 5,500, right? Now I have the values of I1 and I2. Can I plug them over there? What is I2? It is 99x by 200 minus 77x by 200 is equal to 5,500. So I don't need this information any longer. Sorted? So this is a simple algebraic equation which you need to solve and calculate the x. So what do you get over here? The denominator is the same, so I can subtract the numerator. So it will become 22x by 200, right? Which is equal to 5500 by 1. I'll write it as 1. So what can I do? I can just do a cross multiplication. I'll take this value over there and I'll bring this value over here. So I'll leave x over here. So it will become 5500 into 200 divided by 22, right? 2 11s are 200s are 11 500s are. So your sum is 5,000. So they asked you to calculate the sum, and we have assumed that the principal is x at the start of the problem. So your principal is 5,000. Got it? Great. Okay, here comes, there is one more last one which I want to basically share with you guys. This is a very common problem which comes in your exams. I've seen over the years students getting this kind of problems in their exams. So let's tackle this one. So what does the problem say? At what rate of interest will a sum of money be thrice in 10 years? As I told you earlier, right? Sum of money is not given. It becomes thrice in 10 years. What do you mean by thrice? What happens to the sum of money if you deposit it for 10 years? You're going to get interest on top of it, and when you add that interest to the sum, it becomes the amount. So let's note down what all things are given over here, right? There are, if you look at the problem, there are not a lot of numbers which are given over here. You may panic a little bit thinking that nothing is given in this problem, but they're asking me to calculate the value of rate of interest. Okay, look at it. Now, at what rate of interest will a sum of money? Do you know the sum of money? You don't know. Let the sum of money be x, right? So what does that mean? P is equal to x. Your principal is x, right? They are asking us to calculate the rate. Rate is not given. Time is given as 10 years. Good, right? And they are saying that sum of money will become thrice in 10 years. What do you mean by that? Your amount is going to become 3 times of your principal. That is what they have given. Now you have enough information to get started with it, right? So now, as we did it in our earlier problems, when you have these two values, what can you find out? You know that SI is equal to P minus, sorry, it's A minus P, not P minus A. It is A minus P. Can you calculate the simple interest? In terms of x, your amount is 3x and your principal is x. So you get your simple interest as 2x. So can we make a note of that over here? Next up, what do we know? We know that SI is equal to PTR by 100. Can we plug the values, whatever we have? You have SI is equal to 2x is equal to, what is your P? P is x times, what is your time? 10 years. Okay, I don't have the rate. I need to calculate the rate, so I'll leave it as R. Okay, what are the two variables we have in this particular equation? I have x, I have r. Do I need x? I don't need x. It is there on both sides of the equation, so I can cancel out x, right? So what are you left with? You're left with only one variable, that is 2 is equal to 10 times r divided by 100. Look at it. This is what you have left with. You should be able to find out r from here. So if I do the cross multiplication over here, I'll keep r on the left side. It becomes 2 times 100 divided by 10. So your r comes out to be 20%. Simple? Simple. So whenever you read the problem, right, don't panic. Just basically put down the data clearly, what is given to you, and see that how can you play around with the data and calculate the answer. Okay, so I hope by now I have covered a lot of examples, different types of examples for you guys to make you understand how to tackle the simple interest problems. Okay, so after going through the initial video of the theory of simple interest, and if you go through the problems, now I will suggest you to go ahead and practice as many problems as possible from your book, because practice is very much important in mathematics. If you don't practice, you will never attain speed, right? Anything to learn, if you want to learn anything, right, there are two keywords which we normally people use, right? There are two things. If I may just call out those two words for you. One is your accuracy, right? One is your accuracy, and second one is your speed. So when you're learning the topic for the first time, right, I would suggest to basically look at this word. Look at attaining accuracy as much as possible. Once you have attained accuracy and once you're confident with this particular topic, right, what you need to do is that you need to chase speed next, because you need to do a lot of problems in lesser amount of time, because in an examination what happens is that they're going to give you various types of problems from different topics. So speed matters a lot. By the time you reach the examination hall, your speed should be good on problems so that you're able to complete the paper. Remember these two words. When you're practicing at home, when you're doing problems at your own speed and all those things, try to attain this one, accuracy. Accuracy means your calculations should be proper, no silly mistakes, so that you don't get stuck at the end of the answer. You do the entire problem, and if you get it wrong, right, so you're going to lose out on that one. So always remember, follow these two, okay? And practicing maths as much as possible will help you to attain speed and accuracy. Okay, great. Okay, bye.